And we back for another episode of the Kenny Mo Show live on location, man. I got a special guest. I always forget this. I don't want to forget. Like, subscribe, share the YouTube channel, the Kenny Mo Show. Make sure you go over there right now on YouTube and subscribe, like, and share, all that good stuff, man. But I am very excited about this guest here. I want him to introduce himself to the people.
My name's Christopher. I am owner of Profield Sport. I also run and operate Field Club Media down here on Cherokee Street. And I also have a clubhouse, design and print, where we do screen printing and design services.
Man, I appreciate you, man. We've been trying to put this together for a while,
Absolutely.
man. This was a spot that I had seen a lot of. I pride myself on like fly shit and like knowing what's going on and stuff like that. And I was seeing your Profield Sports popping up around the young people. And I was like, nah, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, how I get left out of that? I need to know what that is. You know what I mean? And I had a few young people tell me, like, nah, this is this. You need to get over there, this and that and the other. And at that time, I was on a platform where I can bring up business owners and highlight them and stuff like that. And I was trying to get you, and then you had already been up. So it was like, it's for it to come full circle now to like get the platform, like the Kenny Mo Show with the podcast and stuff like that going down, like we got it going down. And how you elevated past just the sports. Yeah. This was perfect timing. So I just wanted to give you your kudos for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Take me back. Where you from, man?
I'm actually from Southern Illinois, down by Carbondale, Illinois.
Okay.
More of a smaller town outside of that. So a small town called Heron, Illinois, that's 15 minutes from Carbondale.
Okay. How far is Carbondale from St. Louis?
About an hour 45.
Okay.
So I was up here a lot as a kid.
Okay.
So like I had a few family members up here. So, I mean, how far back you want me to rewind?
Come on, get it. This is for the people that don't know who you is. They're bringing them in so they could get a little backdrop on you to make them want to come holler at you.
Yeah. So my first born premature, basically on my deathbed, on the Illinois side, was brought immediately up here to Cardinal Glen.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of my early childhood here fighting for my life. So I'm technically a St. Louis kid.
You were technically a St. Louis kid, for sure.
But once my health started getting better over the first few years of my life, I was eventually adopted and taken back to Illinois.
Got you.
But I was going back and forth as an infant. But even as a kid, I had a few family members up here. So I would be back and forth on my tours stuff. You know, I'm at the Cardinals game every summer. I'm at Ted Drew's. Yeah. And this is like late 80s. I'm 42. So I've had an attachment to St. Louis for 40 plus years. Yeah. So I've did the whole zoo thing. I've did all the tour stuff you could do.
The arch, all
that. So I made it up here to St. Louis 13 years ago because growing up in a small town, St. Louis was always on my radar. Gotcha. So when I say people, there is a perimeter around St. Louis where you still have people that are like, that's a big city. Yeah. I can go there and change my life. Yeah. I can go expand my business or be around other like-minded people. So being from a small town, I kind of hit a ceiling. I had a very successful online store there. And I was just like, nobody around me really understands what's going on. Post office is, they looking at me crazy. I'm coming in with 50 packages a day.
And I'm telling them to hurry up too. Yeah. Like, I got to get this stuff out.
Exactly. So eventually it just got to the point where I just wanted to expand and I just wanted to be, I felt like I just needed to be in the city environment because this was the environment that I seen as a child growing up that I wanted to be in. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So, I came up here 13 years and I was still operating my business off the grid because I didn't.
How did you know? How did the entrepreneur? Not to cut you off. I'm sorry. How did you know that you did want to be an entrepreneur and that you wanted to have a business? Where did that come about? And why sports?
Grew up playing sports.
Okay.
Even though I'm like really small, I still bust your ass.
Okay.
I'm still cross you up. I'm not gonna dunk on you or nothing like that.
So a basketball guy?
Basketball, football, track.
Okay.
Played
Any
all the
baseball?
sports. Yeah, baseball. Baseball was my first love. Ozzie Smith fan.
Okay.
So number one, this is actually my poster that I've designed.
Okay.
So I grew up a big sports fan.
Okay.
I grew up.
What position in baseball? I gotta ask.
Shortstop, pitcher.
Okay. All right.
I could only throw like 50 miles per hour, but I could throw it right down the middle.
Right. Okay.
So it's like T-ball league. I
Yeah.
stopped playing in junior high, but
Why'd
yeah,
you stop, man?
small town politics.
Got you, man. You just killed it with that. That's that's the best answer.
And I was just, I just wasn't feeling it.
Got you.
It was just small town stuff. Do we want to get real?
We can get this.
Well,
This is
I
your
grew
shit,
up,
man. You can do
grew
what
up
you
in a
want.
white town.
Got you.
So you got the fire marshal's son that's
Yeah.
starting. You got the
And they're also what would you say? Not supporting it, but paying for it. So funding it.
Yeah.
So you gotta, when you
Absolutely.
say that, yeah.
But being an entrepreneur, I've seen my adoptive father. He ran a upholstery business. So growing up, I would watch him redoing boat seats, car seats, headliners. So I would be in there helping. We actually had an account with the St. Louis Rams where we would repad their weight equipment. So them big boys in there busting the pads up and putting holes in them. And they would ship down anywhere from 50 to 150 pads every month. And I would be in there.
And was this the family that you were with the longest?
Yes, so I was adopted within the first few years of my life.
Okay.
I was actually raised by a white family.
Got you.
On the Illinois side.
Okay.
Don't know too much about my real family, but you still pick up a skill set. You still pick up things from people you're around. So seeing my father, my adoptive father, basically support his family by being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I just always thought that I was going to take over his business, but I started getting into fashion, was playing sports. My first job was at a steak and shake that lasted like 5 days, and then I went and got a job.
You ain't like the black and white floor, man?
No, man.
Everybody liked the black and white floor.
I never cooked a burger in my life, and they got me. They hired me to be a busboy. And my first day, they put me on the griddle, bro. And I'm like, wow. And then a bus.
I've never cooked before.
Yeah, a basketball players stopped in. Like 60 players. I'm like, wow. What is going on? This is like my second day.
Right.
So I left after like 5 days. I went and got a job at a pasta house, and I was washing dishes and stuff. But I was taking my paychecks over the finish line. So I was going and spending my bread on shoes. I was a big shoe head.
First pair of shoes that you was like, what was it?
Was it the Jordan 13s? With the little hologram on the back?
Yeah.
I had to convince my basketball coach to let me get those because they wasn't the team colors, but I was like, I need these.
Yeah.
So I had to take them in and show them, be like, can I
all
wear
black
these?
with the little white pies on it. Yeah.
So I started working at the finish line. I ended up working at the finish line for 8 years.
So hold on, you was at the pasta house taking your money to finish line and ended up working at finish line.
They ended up giving me a seasonal job.
Wow.
Because they was like, you've been in here spending your money.
Yeah.
You obviously know your shoes.
Yeah.
And this is late 90s.
Yeah, this is when it's starting to boom.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is before like shoes was even like this huge thing.
Yeah.
I'm
sneakerhead.
Like, the golden era. Like I'm picking up Kevin Garnett's and Jordans were sitting. I mean, we was getting Air Force Ones for $30-$40.
Yeah.
And, like shoes would sit. They would collect dust.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like it was, the shoe game kind of dying down now. But I just started working as a sales associate, and I took to it, and I ended up being like one of the youngest like assistant managers in the district. And I was doing stock, sales, all of it. So I picked up the sales side along with being into sports, being artistic, and I put it all together.
That's what it is. And when I look at this space that we're in, and we're going to get to that as well, I get all of that from what you're saying, especially with the aesthetic of the sports. Like now that you say that, I always just knew Profield. I didn't know Profield sports.
Yeah.
So when you break that down, you get sports when you come in here.
Yeah.
You get sports from the brand. You get sports when you even having like chess tournaments and with the youth and stuff like that. Super dope too, by the way.
Appreciate you.
Do you also think that it was a blessing to be adopted to be able to see something differently that you might not have seen from your original parents that might have held you back. Because it seems like now that you went through that now you know that like sky's the limit, and you using what you actually got to see for a positive instead of it just being a negative. Like, my people left me. No, I got this family that does want me and has me, and this is what I'm doing.
I'm gonna say I was able to get resources. I was able to be put in environments for myself to thrive. I was able to, just had a stable household.
Yeah.
Like we weren't rich or nothing,
but we weren't poor.
I wasn't poor.
Yeah.
But I did grow up in an area where it was diverse.
Gotcha.
But I grew up in an area where it was predominantly white.
Yeah.
But
you got to grow in that though.
You learn to navigate both worlds.
Yeah, man.
So you kind of live in this pocket of, if we want to keep it real, some black people that I grew up with, like, bro, you over there with the white people.
Yeah.
And there's some white people that I would go to their house with the son, and they be like, why you got this black kid in my house? So it was just always just this weird dynamic growing up in an area like that.
I totally understand, because I grew up in the inner city. I'm from the north side of St. Louis, but I went to school in Clayton. So I totally understand that. And I'm talking like 5th grade. So I've been in it. Yeah. So I know what you say when you say like just both ways. You get what I'm saying? You getting it. And then on top of, like you're saying, you going home in a whole different culture. And it's like, the shoes on the thing right there.
Yep.
On the TV, that's hard. And we were just talking about that. But yeah, when you said that, that totally resonates with me. Yeah. And it's a lot of people in this world that resonates with. So like, that's super dope.
And just the environment I grew up in, and the environment I worked in, and the schools I went to, and all that. Like, even
when was it a time though in that, right? Were you ever comfortable?
No.
Wow.
I tell people right now that 42, just in the last few years, I grew into like truly who my comfort of who I am. Because being in St. Louis, even though I've been here for 13 years, I was still kind of ducked off doing my thing.
Yeah.
But just in like the last few years, have I kind of been able to just say like, there's enough people in this city that just accept me for who I am.
Yeah, man.
And they're fine with me, how I talk, how I dress, how I navigate, just everything about me. So I have a comfort level right now and a peace of mind about myself than I never had. But that's a testament to St. Louis and just being okay with who I am.
That's super dope.
When you going through 40 years of life being like, I don't really know. Where do I really... Where do I fit in society? Because it kind of seems like nobody's really knows how to interact.
Where my people at?
Where my people at?
Yeah.
So being down here on the south side, being around a lot of black creatives, they be dressing different, talking different. They into art, they into recreation, sports, all different things that like I thought I was weird for.
Got you. So okay, when was it the time, or what happened in life where you made the decision to come back to St. Louis? Oh no, I don't want to skip over. Finish line. We into what the sneakers and stuff like that. What was the next step after that? I don't want to skip over.
So I remember in high school, a recruiter from the Chicago Art Institute came down to my small little school, and he had mentioned something about industrial design, product design, and like they offered shoe design. Now I didn't get to go, but I remember that opened my eyes. I'd never heard of that.
I didn't hear that at Clayton. Like I didn't have nobody come and be like, you can go to art school.
Yeah, no, but it opened my eyes, and I remember running home and being like, hey, this school up in Chicago has all the resources I need
to be who I want to be.
Yeah, I want to design shoes. I want to design, sportswear. I want to work for Nike. Like every
all
kid.
of that.
But immediately it was shut down. Like we can't afford that. So I ended up going to junior college, and I learned a few art programs. But being a sheltered kid growing up in a religious household, I got to college and I lost my mind. I lost my mind.
Right.
My first few years, you wasn't going to find me just partying. Just almost like basically ruining the first few years of my life, and then having to circle back once I got serious.
Right.
And it took me 8 years to get done with college because once I settled in on my degree at SIUC, I went to school for product design because I still wanted to get into, fashion and shoes and all that. It took me all of 8 years. But then when I spit out into the real world, I actually ended up getting hired by an engineering firm up in Davenport, Iowa, and I was working for Caterpillar.
So what is that?
So I didn't know. They just had a job for me. So I'm like, okay, I got a design degree. I'm gonna go work for this engineering firm. They're gonna pay to train me, right? But this is in 2008, 2009.
Okay.
So I end up moving to Davenport, Iowa. But I'm literally there for a month, and they like, we don't know why they sent you up here. There's no work for you.
Wow.
If you want to stay with this company, you got to go to Peoria. And I said, okay, bet.
Yeah.
So I go to Peoria, and literally.
And how far is Peoria from where you already grew up?
Probably about 3.5 hours. 4.
Okay, but it's still
in Illinois, but
it's different though.
it's different because I'm on my own.
Okay.
But I got caught in that major recession at the end of the in 2008, 2009. So 6 months after leaving college, after going to school for 8 years, and I'm gonna say you feel shame being in school for that long, but you just keep going because everyone's telling you the American dream is to go to school.
Ooh, yeah, that's
get
true.
a degree. So
That's
I'm
what
like,
they
well,
tell
I'm gonna
you.
push through, even though it's taking me 8. I'm the oldest in the class most of the time. People would give me shit for it, but I'll be like, this is what I'm supposed to do
I
with my
think that's
life.
around the time that, cause my mom went to college later. Like she had me at 17, or pregnant with me at 17, had me at 18, or 17, and then she turned 18. That was like a generation of people like older people going back to school and going and being in college. So I get what you're saying, but also it was like that was a thing at that time.
Yeah.
Even if the 8 years, like
it
you
was
were still in it. You were still in
Exactly.
it.
Everyone really believed in going to college, and that was the way to make a living, and that was, how you would support your family. But 6 months after going to school for 8 years, I am literally laid off. I have to call my parents and be like, I didn't save no money. This first time I got a salary, I'm blowing it. I'm paying it on rent.
Yeah.
I'm buying shoes. I'm shopping.
Yeah.
I'm out of the crib. I'm out of the nest. So
You dating too?
I had a girl.
Okay.
But we broke up
Okay.
once I moved away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm back in my childhood basement.
Yeah, man.
After 8 years of college. And after 6 months of having a real job, saying I made it, like I got a salary.
I did.
And then I said, well, this was not how it's supposed to go.
Right.
And I said, at that point, I've actually have never worked a job, a 9 to 5 since.
Okay.
I said, if this is how it's going to be, I'll never work for someone again. I felt very almost
That was
let
the turning
down
point
and,
in your
and
whole
betrayed.
life.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm expendable. They don't care.
So boom, now we like, okay,
Yeah.
I've seen Pops do this.
Yep.
How did you know, okay, retail, even though you worked in retail, that don't mean, because I worked in retail too, but I never thought as an entrepreneur, because I had an entrepreneurial spirit, I never thought my retail. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like for you, when did it switch for you? Like, okay, I'm gonna start a brand and I'm going to have a retail spot and I'm gonna do this shit.
Yeah. So when I'm back in my parents' basement, I have the skill set from college. I have the skill set from working retail. I know exactly what the shoe game is. I know exactly what people was wanting at that time, fashion-wise, and they wanted T-shirts.
What year was this?
This was 2008, 2009.
Okay.
So back in my parents' basement, I start my first brand. But funny thing is, when I go back home in my parents' basement, I go back to Finish Line asking for my job back.
Yeah.
And they was like, well, your assistant manager job is gone. You're going to have to be a sales associate.
Wow.
So I really went back to the bottom.
Wow.
And I started working at another store called American Eagle next door. And then I had a third job where I was working in a print shop.
Wow.
But I was in a different department, just making one-of-one shirts for like fraternities, people that just needed samples. So
But that
it
all
clicked.
it all
clicked,
like come
because I knew all the
together.
design programs. I knew how to use Illustrator, Photoshop, all that. And I was like, well, there's this thing that's starting to happen online where e-commerce, like you can start your own brand, put it on there, and just see what happens.
Yeah.
I started my first brand with 3 T-shirts. It was only one design, 3 different colorways.
What was the name of it?
Oh man, it makes my stomach hurt.
You gotta tell me.
It was called Fresh Leets.
Fresh Leets?
Fresh Leets, like fresh athletes.
Oh, Fresh Leets.
Yeah, it was called Fresh Leets.
Okay.
So yeah, I was
Ain't
doing
that bad.
colorways that was matching up to Jordans and Air Maxes and
Stuff
all
like
that
that.
stuff. Anything that dropped the finish line, I knew what was coming up. So I would have a few printed up.
So you was good at marketing too.
Yeah.
Did that have anything to do with school, or that just was like
I just
being in it?
Just being in it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I put it online, and this kid from Chicago noticed it, and he was like, "Bro, this is dope stuff." He's like, "I got some connects out on the East Coast. You should send some gift packages out." So I sent some gift packages out, and this guy was like, "Hey, this resonates with me. I like this." He used to pitch for Duke, and he had blew his elbow out, and he started rapping on the side.
Okay.
And some blogs picked him up, and he was wearing my stuff, so it just got out in front of people.
Yeah.
And then because he was a high-level athlete in college, his homies were like, "Hey, like get me some," and he knew some pro players. So I just started seeding people.
So early you knew what that was.
Yes,
yeah, real.
I knew exactly how to get people stuff.
Yeah.
So it started taking off, and I'm handling his merchandise. I'm starting to design.
How did you meet him though?
Just through introduction, I sent a gift package, and then he contacted me and was like, "Listen, can you handle my merch? Can you ship it out? Can you handle it for me?"
Yeah.
My homie that plays for the Toronto Blue Jays wants to do some stuff with you.
Right.
And then it just started trickling out. Like people from, like reps from the NFL, NBA, MLB would be like, "Can you send a box out to training camp?"
And you doing all of this from the basement?
Yes.
Wow.
At my peak, I did $375,000 in my
basement.
parents' basement right before I moved to St. Louis.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that mentally when you like felt like, all right, I'm back at the bottom. I have all of these. I have wisdom on all of these things, and I know how to do these things. But now, and I don't want to go back to work.
Yeah.
But now people fucking with your shit. How was that mentally for you? Like, how do you not? How does your head not tilt over? Because it's like I got the big head now. I got shit popping.
I ain't gonna lie, I did get a big head. I packed all my shit and came up to St. Louis and left an entire life. And I came up here with my partner, and she had just had my son too. So we came up here as a family. We was doing well. I was able to move into just a small, almost like a studio warehouse, actually right down here. This is where I got introduced to Cherokee Street, because I was down on Jefferson across from the Benton Park post office.
Got you.
So I strategically moved across the road in that warehouse, so when I pack orders, I could just roll it over. So
all your logistics always just line up.
Yeah. But little did I know, I would still say I'm young and naive to business, because I didn't know. Yeah, I had success, but I didn't know what having resources and having the right people around you.
Wow.
So, I'm letting people, invest, and I'm letting, athletes buy in, and I've got rich people that have bought in.
And they telling you what to do and how to do and all of that.
And then it started, hey, our buddy here, he's a designer. He should design alongside you. Hey, you should change to this type of t-shirt. You should do this. And then it just started kind of just crumbling.
Wow.
But what they did is they watched the blueprint.
And then ran
off with it.
Yeah.
Because the goal was to continue to keep working with athletes and develop merchandise.
That's why it's called Profield Athletics.
That's what we moved into.
But I'm saying all along,
yeah.
It was athletics.
Yes, it was always athletics and developing a sportswear line.
So how did you feel like in 08 and 09 and 2010? Because that's when I think things started to change from like jeans and stuff like that. And it was like more of like active wear, where even like a guy like myself at those times, I won't even say, because I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I want to say that was like 13, 14 when they'll actually let you wear a jogging suit to the club and stuff like that. How did you feel when you actually start seeing like, activewear is a thing and everybody
I was able to run. I was able to run with it, because like with having the brand that I did and then still being attached to like I think
The
the
sports
fashion
wear,
world,
yeah,
the
yeah.
sports, the shoes,
yeah.
it was easy for me to kind of stay ahead of things. So I was always able to pivot. So even back in the 2010s when this kind of started taking off, you know how people be flipping like NBA logos and MLB logos
Yes.
and it be making it look like,
Yeah.
I was doing that back then.
Okay.
Yeah, like I was flipping even on the Illinois side, I was flipping the Cardinals logos. I was
Yeah.
flipping the Blackhawks logos.
Yeah.
Any type of like brand that was popular, I was flipping a thing, but making it sportswear.
That's dope.
So I was selling crew necks, t-shirts, sweatpants, hats, all that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I didn't really have the tool set around me to sustain it because I thought business, you had to have business partners. Little did I know I was the engine and I didn't need them.
Yeah, they just give you a little gas. But
Yeah.
you could have.
I could have just kept it internally, but you know.
It was a learning experience.
It was a learning experience. So, but unfortunately it ended, but it made me pivot into doing Profield.
Yeah.
Because I had to move on because like once they kind of took, because they did,
They
had the following.
Yeah.
And they studied what I did. And I'll give you an example of what happened. So our first major athlete that we worked with, I was flown out to LA. I was out there only for 2 days. And instead of partying and they like, hey, come kick it, like come to the club. I'm like, nah, like after every meeting, I'm going back to the hotel to design and I'm gonna work on this project that y'all flew me out here for.
Right.
So I cooked up some t-shirts, came back to St. Louis, and we put that up. It was only one shirt in 3 different colorways, and we did $60,000 in 3 days. And they said, "Oh, this will work."
Wow.
And then that was the last athlete we ever worked with. And the next thing I knew, they did a collaboration with another athlete without me
On
involved.
the low, right.
And next
And
thing
just
I know,
took the
they ship.
blueprint.
Yeah. Next thing I know, they shipping out semi-fulls of merch, and I'm like,
So how did you feel about that when that happened?
I was devastated.
Yeah.
They took the whole infrastructure. They took the whole fan base. They took the whole crowd. Like I was still able to sell stuff, but you could just see people continue to just like leave.
Because they
thought
this is where it's at.
They
but
thought
even didn't know you was the engine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they was able to hire their own designer and move the infrastructure to LA under a whole different like name, brand, everything.
Yeah.
And I kept just operating the business, but I'm like, it ain't the same because you could just see like every 6 months the sales would go, ooh, and I'm like,
wow.
damn, like they really just like pulled the rug out from underneath me.
Yeah.
Like me working with other athletes, that's out of the cards now.
Yeah.
Like me going about this the way I expected, it's not gonna happen anymore. So I kept it going for maybe like another year. I was still making good money, but I was miserable.
How did you land, and we're gonna get to that too, how did you land where it was like, you was like, I'm gonna make it official, I'm gonna be on Cherokee Street?
I was down here about to grab a sandwich, Elaine's next door.
Okay.
So I was down on Cherokee because I had that spot for a few years.
Okay.
So I was down
on
Cherokee.
Jefferson?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
just on Jefferson, just a mile or two, like right down off. I was down by the Lee's Chicken. So I would come down here to get Mexican food, get sandwiches, and this used to be a salon and art gallery.
Okay.
So walking by one day, I parked over there, walking by one day. I walked in the sandwich shop, but I stopped and I was like, hey, this is open. Like, dang, I know.
But you in a warehouse already.
Yeah.
So why not the warehouse?
Because that business was dead. But
You
but
said
I
with
knew,
with the people and the athletics and stuff
Yeah.
with the people.
but being down here for several years, I was still designing for like small businesses, and a
Okay.
church here and there. Someone would want like a sample shirt.
Gotcha.
Because some people, I did meet a few people here in St. Louis, so they'd be like, hey, like cook up something for me, and I would. So
And that
I'm sure
considered you as a designer.
other business owners or people that do fashion or one-of-ones, sometimes you got to run around the city looking for a shirt. Because I need a shirt. I just need like a size large white shirt. And I remember I would always be running around on the south side, and you go into like the dollar store, you go down to Walgreens, and it just, clothes would be just strung, like holes in them from the security tags.
Yeah.
Like, and it would be like, this is what people have access to? This is where they really shopping? Like,
Right.
there's nowhere like dope
Right.
on the south side to like shop.
Right.
Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
I got access to all the good shit.
Yeah.
And if I put it in a spot where it's accessible,
Yeah.
I feel like people will fuck with it.
Yeah.
So when she was like, yeah, the space is open, I said, well, I want to rent it. I didn't even have a name for it yet. I signed on the dotted line and said I'm going to take over the space.
Called it what?
I came in here and I called it Profield Reserve.
Right then and there, man.
Yeah.
Right then
and at first
there.
it was just going to be blanks. But then not the recession, but the pandemic happened.
So, okay, talk to me about that time, because a lot of people don't know, and I tell this a lot, that in the pandemic, I had just started at the radio station with my own show. Mm-hmm. And once the pandemic hit, everything else shut down, but I was an essential worker. So that kind of like turned me up. Now everybody was just sitting around and they didn't have nothing else to do but watch me on the IG Live and hear me on the radio station. So on the streaming radio station as well. So it was like I kind of turned up in the pandemic. How did it go for you?
Man, I know this sounds wild, but the pandemic was a blessing in disguise for my business here in St. Louis.
Man, I promise.
Because the world came to a screeching halt. There were no sports. There was no food places really operating how they were. The city was just quiet.
Yeah.
But
you would ride around and it feel like a video game that wasn't nobody else playing but you. So, you just riding around and ain't nobody else. So people
kept finding out that I was down here opening a store. So I was with the city being so quiet and just kind of like on pause. I was able to get some media pub. I was able to get on the news. A few articles were written, and the next thing you know, like the city, like, oh, we've never seen anything like this. So they immediately just started supporting.
Yeah.
I did not expect it to work that quickly, but you know, the stars aligned.
Yeah.
And yes, the pandemic was a blessing in disguise. Like I kept it pushing. Like even when we was not supposed to be down here, I was driving the back roads and I would come in here and I would just design.
Yeah.
I would, and the store wasn't even finished when we were supposed to open, because we were supposed to open in March of 2020, but that's when the pandemic happened and we didn't get to open until May. So I got an extra 3 months to just continue to work on the space and work through my ideas and paint and build furniture. Because at first I just opened the store, I wasn't putting no logos on nothing. I wasn't even putting Profield Reserve, Profield Sport on nothing. It was just, you can come get a t-shirt, a hoodie, a hat,
So
nothing.
where was because it seems like to me you one of the people that pays attention to aesthetics and stuff like that. Where does it come from when you started like putting the Profield on stuff and making this thing a space that somebody would want to come to? It's vibrant, it look good, it's simple, but it's complex. Like, where does all of that come from for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up, you know, being from a small town, I grew up like kind of diving into pop culture. Into what I was seeing on the TV, what I was seeing in magazines, what I was being exposed to. So, you know, I grew up always being like, dang, that's a cool like skate shop. That's a cool like boutique. I was like, one day I want to own a shoe boutique. So, but this never really turned into a shoe boutique, but I wanted it set up like a boutique. I wanted it to feel like almost like a gallery. I was intentional with it being all white because I wanted the pictures to feel like they was floating. I wanted the clothing to stand out. I wanted the pops of color to stand up off the wall. So that also like attracted people, because when they would come in here and they was from St. Louis or they was a transplant or they was in town as just visiting the city, they'd be like, I don't feel like I'm in St. Louis.
That's how I felt when I came.
They was like, this is crazy.
And I pride myself on knowing about all of those spaces or trying to know. So like that's how they felt when I came.
But it wasn't really based on anyone's like on what someone else was doing. It was just like, this is my space to turn into how I want it to be. So this space has always kind of been an ever evolving space. It's almost its own art project in itself.
That's dope. When did you like, okay, I'm gonna make it Profield, and how did you come up with that? And then when did the photo shoots and the Instagram presence, when did all of that come about? Man,
it just naturally just gravitated towards that. So once I had that time to sit down and design and what were the graphics gonna look like on the garments, because like I said, I wasn't putting nothing on the stuff.
Right.
Like, I just wanted y'all to be able to just get a clean white tee.
Yeah.
So once I was just like, listen, the name of the store is Profield Reserve. Like eventually I was gonna start putting that on stuff, but I was just kind of like, let's just try it.
Right.
So within the first couple months, I started putting on stuff, and I would put that P on the left chest, on the hat, and it just started. People was like, oh, this cold. This is some dope stuff.
Yeah.
But I had the design background, so I knew. Listen, I could still sync it up to shoes. I could still sync it up to colorways here in the city that people could rock it with, whether it be a cardinal colorway or a blues colorway or whatever it was. I could sync it up to whatever was happening in real time because I've always been about making stuff in small batches and staying with what's currently like popular.
Gotcha.
So what happened was people just started finding out that this space existed, and I got connected really in the creative scene down here.
Yeah.
I didn't know it existed.
Right.
Like I said, I was here for 6-7 years before I even opened up the store.
Right.
I didn't know there was other people in the city just like me. And there were people that were into fashion, into sports, into food.
And it seems like those people really spend their money too on stuff that they like.
They do.
Yeah.
They want to have that small batch stuff.
Yeah.
Like y'all know, you want that like one-on-one piece.
I don't want everybody
So when people knew that they could come in here and maybe I only made 10 of this shirt, it really started ramping up things because they knew, like, I know not everybody in the city gonna have this. But it just kind of took on a life of its own, and people.
Were you ready for it when it happened?
No, I wasn't, because I didn't expect it. Honestly, I opened up this shop just thinking it was just gonna be
somewhere they could get raw goods from.
I just thought it would I sell a couple shirts, a couple hoodies, and I would go home. I never expected to develop relationships. So I started meeting people, but then they kept coming back. And then they would just come and kick it for an hour. And then it would be 2 hours. And then it would be 3. And then it was like,
dude, you
and then it was like,
what
hey, can we come in here and rap? And I'm like, I'm like, huh? You want to rap it? You want to have it? And this is during the pandemic.
That's what I was finna say. I did. I don't know if you read my notes or whatever. But I had knew about the space. But for me, the time where I could say that it was turning the corner for me, you were a part of Search Party's launch. Their magazine launch party was here. I came to Connected STL with Mike and Dream Builders. We came over here. I came to like a pop-up over here. I came with, as of recent, I came with Icon. Never Die. Shout out to Hump and what he's doing over there. I came to that. You had that. I seen that you some people are posting First Sunday where it's like they hang out and kick it, and it's like, when did it be like, okay, I am selling stuff out of this joint, but like people want to be in the space.
People want to be in it and they want to use it.
Yeah, they want to use the space. When was it comfortable for you to like open it up? Because that, like, I don't want y'all fucking my shit up. Everything white.
Exactly. You know, the first person I took.
And I don't want to leave out, I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't want to leave out my girl with the books. She had Imani.
Noir Bookshop. She did one of her first.
She did her first thing
pop up here. And it was such a success, and the city received it so well that it was just almost a no-brainer. Like open up a couple doors down. But we were able to see what worked in real time because of being in the pandemic, or even a year removed the pandemic. People were still looking for spaces to activate and use. So when people are like, can I come do a pop-up in here? Can I come? And it would just not even, some things weren't even sports related. And that's when it started like getting a little like weird in a good way. Like so weird because you like,
not the person, but
you stop even showing fashion.
So it was like
stop
food.
even being about the clothes.
It was like food.
It was like that. It was like food. It was pop-ups. It was just people wanting to use the space just for the most random things.
Right.
So it just started kind of turning over on itself, and I was just kind of conflicted. Like, people trying to shop, but like, we just kicking it. Like people just really just want to come in here and DJ and rap and like do panels and just do things that was not sports clothing related.
Right.
So
we're shooting a podcast in it right now.
Exactly. So it eventually, after just strictly being a sportswear store for 4 years, I was just like, this city needs access to space where it makes sense.
That's dope.
So that's why I transitioned it over to be more of a arts, media, and like recreation space.
And you changed the name. You got a company as well for that too. Give them the company name.
It's called Field Club Media.
Okay.
And we call it media because it's an arts media. It's not. We're not talking. We're not like I mean, eventually we have the blogs, the podcast, but like we're rooted in art and media.
For
so
sure.
that's fashion.
Yeah.
It's sewing. It's painting.
Yeah.
It's sound design.
Yeah.
It's everything under the moon that is art related.
Yeah.
But the goal is to take this amazing art and this amazing music and be able to funnel it through here now.
Yeah, man.
So now it makes sense when someone comes in here and they say, I want to do a private show for 40 people.
Yeah.
Okay, bet.
got
We'll hook up the PA and we'll
gonna
sell
do
some
it.
tickets to it and people can come in, sit down, and now we have a small print venue instead of an artist here that really only needs to sell 30, 40 tickets to see if they can pull 30, 40 tickets and not being forced to go to a venue where they got to sell 150 and the venue pulls the show because they didn't sell enough.
Right.
So now we have an entry level of building someone up.
That's super dope. And I looked at my show like that, where it's like, let me be the first place that you come sit down and talk to, but also give you an audience and be somewhere like that you get your chops up, because you're going to be great where you could talk to different people and sit down at all these other platforms, and this is gonna be bomb.
This becomes an incubator.
So for you to, like you said, an incubator to like start somebody in that.
Absolutely.
What would you say to like the haters that was like the P was too much like close to a polo or something like that? How did you feel about that?
Honestly, that's the first time I ever heard that.
Really?
Yeah. So honestly, a lot of people like the P. Some people would be like, they would walk by and they'd be like, "Is this a polo store?"
Right,
like,
right.
No, it's the piece for Profield.
And you didn't even think of it like that.
So I grew up as a polo kid. I was a mall kid. So I grew up on the polo, the Tommy,
Nautica, all that.
Nautica. I mean, even in my little mall, we had Nelly's brand down there.
Apple Bottoms.
We had Apple Bottoms and Vocal.
Yeah.
We had, we just had mall shit. So I grew up as a mall kid. So
you seen something and you emulated it, and you knew that other people would grab,
absolutely
draw into it.
Yeah, you gotta build on something that's familiar to people and then eventually break off.
Okay, so what would you say was your breakoff spot where you seen some success off your own idea? Would you say it was just the space overall?
The space, and then probably about a year or two into Profield, I was like, okay, I gotta start really treating this like this could work.
Yeah.
Like
at first I gotta stop. I
gotta stop making it look like something else that you've seen before. So I really pulled back from certain things, and I really dove into almost like vintage aesthetic, like sports stuff. So like big prints that were like tennis balls and stuff like that. And I started doing photography at around all the parks in the city, and I would take my own photography and we'd screen print it on shirts. And then we would put like Tower Grove Park on the back.
Gotcha.
So I was an art kid too.
Yeah.
So
you pulling people in to stuff that they would see around them.
Yeah, I was able
that
to.
they can resonate with and want to purchase.
Yep.
Yeah. If somebody made a Natural Bridge T-shirt, I would buy that.
Exactly.
That resonates
St. Louis
with me.
people love St. Louis stuff, but there's certain brands here in the city that's all they really do, and they find great success in that. But it's not quite my aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I wanted to approach it a different way and still represent St. Louis,
and I think that's
still
what made
guarantee
it go.
myself sales and stuff. So when I started diving into my own practice and taking my own photos and putting them on T-shirts, and you literally could go, oh, that's Benton Park. That's 2 blocks away. I see the tennis courts and the trees on that.
And for a person that's coming from the north side that might have just visited on the south side, you want to be a part of that because you're seeing that like, well, what's that?
Exactly.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So I was able to just kind of dive into my own practice and started like really taking it serious because I thought Profield could just be like the next greatest thing. And then I ended up getting that project with City Soccer, and that took the whole thing to like the next stratosphere.
So how did that come about? And what
they
is
came
that?
to me.
What is it? Talk to the people.
So basically, before they was even open, I was in the stadium taking tours, sitting down with the main designers, head of retail, and they said, we want to open up the team shop, and you will be the first local brand to set this off.
Oh, okay.
So when they came to me, basically I got to design however I wanted for that city soccer project.
Okay.
And then once they approved it, we dropped it to the public. They opened up that store, and we was already a high-priced, like, spot. Like, we was starting to sell, like, $80 sweaters, like $90 sweatpants, you know, $40 hats.
Yeah.
But they took it to a whole other level because they went and tacked on the team price on that. And I remember walking into the team shop and being like, they selling out of this sweater and they got it priced at 120?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Like, it really, like, showed me that there was an appetite for my aesthetic, the quality that I brought to the table, and then just having that opportunity. So that really set it off. And then just having great success on like 3, 1, 4 days and stuff.
How long was you guys' relationship where
I worked on that project almost for an entire year before we dropped it.
Okay. So what year did that drop?
Well, it was inauguration year. So what was it, what are we in? Was it 2022?
So
I think it was 2022,
okay.
Maybe 2023 when city soccer fully like
2022,
launched. Yeah. So that really just like solidified me as a sportswear brand.
Outside of what you had already
Outside of what I already did. Like it showed me that like I was on the right track with this. Like if I'm able to attract a major league soccer club, like in the city, in a major city.
MLS.
MLS. So there's only so many MLS teams in the world. Right. So to get that stamp, it really like, I feel like it really solidified me in what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Now the next step was like, what should have happened was how do we get the licensing to do more MLS stuff?
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? How do we develop a relationship truly with city soccer instead of just being
them just using the sauce and then selling it?
We could have just, as well as it was selling, it should have just been a partnership and just gave me a corner.
Yeah.
Because if you selling this, I still get people to this day still emailing me.
What's up with that stuff?
Hey, where's it at?
So another learning experience. It's like the bigger you get, it's always a learning experience.
Absolutely.
It's not a loss. It's a learn.
Someone should have came along and just been like, listen, what's it going to take for us to get the licensing for all MLS?
Yeah.
Because any MLS team could have came and now did a project with me.
I seen
Profield as like a new era.
Got you. You look at it like that.
Yeah. When I build businesses, it's for the world.
Yeah.
It just so happened to be in St. Louis.
Got you.
Yeah. Like a Profield Reserve, a Profield Sport could have, the Yankees could have came to me.
It's global.
Yeah, I would have, listen, the Cubs could have came to me, bro. I know that sounds crazy.
But it's real.
I had intentions. I've always built my businesses to be global.
Yeah.
I don't build businesses just to be small. I build them to be invested in, for them to expand, for them to grow, for them to create myself and my family generational wealth, to create jobs around me. Yeah.
What was the time with the youth? I seen you been posting, or you enlightened me on the fact that you had a youth pull up and play chess. Man, how did that come about? They first Saturday?
First Saturday of every month, $5 camp. So I met them. It's a 2-person collective. It's Ryan and Malik.
Shout out to Ryan and Malik, man.
They're amazing people, man. They $5 cam, a local collective. They very are heavy and embedded in the art scene here in the city. Like they'll pop up to everybody's stuff, and they've built themselves a huge following. And they came to me one day because I was transitioning the space from Profield to Field Club, and basically I was like, listen, I came in here just one night with a hammer, crowbar, screwdriver, and just started taking all the furniture apart. And then I looked and seen all the destruction I did, and I said, what the fuck did I do? But I knew why I was doing it, but also I was like, I just tore my store down to build something else that I see the city truly needs, what we've been using the space for. So in that transition, they found me in a weak moment. They was like, listen, can we use this as like for an art show? I was like, bet. So they came in here. I mean, every inch of the wall was covered. They spray painting, graffiti. They were putting footprints on the ceiling.
Right.
They opened up the doors and 300 kids showed up and shut down the street. And I said, this is why I did it. To let people come in and explore what they want to do, even if it's in a small amount of time.
I'm sorry to cut you off, being the youth
Yes.
as well. When the youth drive something somewhere, that what blows it all the way up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So little did I know they play chess. Looking at it, you wouldn't think, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to figure out like chess is a huge thing here in St. Louis.
I didn't know
I
until
did not know.
I got in it probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not cold or nothing like that. I've been talking, I will say this.
Yeah.
I've been talking shit like I'm cold since day one because I wanted, once my game caught up to my game, my shit talking caught up to my game, it's over. Because I've been talking like I'm cold since the beginning.
I don't know.
That's super dope. You even got chessboards printed and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though I do not know how to play, I still know that they're like, it's just
I
like,
got you.
it's just
I got
like,
you.
Right? I need
I'm gonna get you. You gonna know how to at least move
people
the
to be
pieces.
very, very patient with me, but like still business minded or still creative minded, and seeing kids that are coming in here and playing chess and knowing they're like, hey, someone that comes to chess club may want a chessboard to roll up and take out to the park or just be at home.
Still
so the designer side of me, the business minded side of me is, even though I don't play, I still want to make a product for you. So it's no different.
How much are those boards?
I think I sell them for $25. Like I made the design in-house. I screen printed them myself. I cut it out of that material. We sewed the edges, so those are unfinished. But I'm a designer. Like I love just making things from scratch. Like I love I'm just now getting into like screen printing all my own stuff myself. I used to I bought all the equipment. I used to outsource that to someone in-house here in my studio because I just didn't have time. But now that I've got more time with the space and it's slowing down, I now have taken that like responsibility over. So now when I come up with an idea, I literally can say, you know what? I got some extra fabric in the back. I'm gonna whip this up on Illustrator and I can print something within 8 hours.
Super dope.
It helps me get more ideas out of my head faster because I can produce whatever I see in my head now instead of waiting on someone else.
I gotta ask you this because I seen this and I brought it up a little bit earlier. First Sundays, man. How is that? Because when a guy like me sees art guys and just cool people posting shit on the internet, it make you want to come. And then when I see it like, oh, this is my people's space, I'm like, oh, that's super dope. Talk to me a little bit about like when you have that show up. You got some on Saturday, but then you got some first Sunday as well. How does that feel too?
So like we've always kept it pushing in here. We've always been activating this space, and like we used to have like Sunday brunches in here. All types of things
kickbacks, all types of stuff.
Yeah, all types of stuff. But then after like the $5 camp art show, then people are starting to say like, hey, we want to throw our own things that are on a more consistent basis within your space. So it's almost like me partnering with people that need the space to build their platform. So there's Lala and Marco, two amazing creatives in the city. Lala, the neighborhood DJ.
Shout out to Lala.
Amazing DJ. Marco, amazing creative.
Shout out to Marco.
This is actually his photography. But they've teamed up to kind of bring the city something else. So it's still in the same vein of what we've been doing, but now like we know
you got other people that can bring something to it.
So
where you don't have to go and walk outside to figure it out.
I don't got to do all the work.
Super dope.
I can identify people that I can partner with. So when Lala brings in a different DJ to partner with her on a Sunday, we get introduced to a new DJ. So then that's another DJ that we could be like,
I can call them.
We could call him. He in the arsenal now. He in the Rolodex. So the people that start flowing through here, we start to build our Rolodex even more because more art kids keep coming through here, more photographers, videographers, small business owners, corporate people, transplants, all of it start gravitating here because there's something different going on at all times.
Super dope, man.
Even just having this artwork on the walls, this is a collection of all different types of artists throughout the city. Artists that typically don't get wall space around the city. So that leads me into kind of what we just powered down a 5-month show that we had at Sophie's. Represented 40 local artists in there.
Yeah.
That show was actually strictly just supposed to be me and all my work on the walls.
But you bring other artists in, yeah.
They didn't expect that. When they came to me and they proposed me to be able to take those walls over, they was like, you can put all your work from your backlog. And I'm like, they don't want to see T-shirts on the wall. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to see work.
On.
They don't know me like that. They know me, but they don't know like my backlog of work ain't gonna make sense on these walls. Yeah. Like I'm not known as an artist like that.
That's super
It's gonna
dope.
look great and all, but like I'm not the type to just take that type of opportunity and be selfish with it. Because over the 4 or 5 years, I've seen the lack of opportunities and the lack of space for the creators in the city.
Yeah.
So I went to them and I said, I've contacted 40 other artists. And they come with me.
Super dope.
I say 70% of them people had never been on a wall in their life.
Super dope.
So we had people in there. That was probably the first painting they ever did. We had, it was just a phenomenal. It was a phenomenal experience.
And for you to be a vessel for people to be able to not only for you to get out, because when you do that type of stuff, it's like the bigger they are, the bigger you get,
Absolutely.
just subconsciously because you put them on.
Yeah.
And I've learned that, like I said, just with the other platforms and the stuff, and just doing this type of stuff, and the podcast that I see that
we gotta stamp each other.
We gotta stamp each other because if don't, my people might not know, and your people might not know.
Exactly.
But now our people know, and it make it bigger.
You gotta provide people opportunities to be discovered. And I'm not the type to gatekeep, and I don't care if you've been in the game for a year or 20 years.
20 years.
If it's hard, we're going to get it on the wall.
Run it.
Because you need to be seen. You need the opportunity. And we don't know who's going to walk these hallways and see your work and want to purchase from you or want to commission or even just follow you as an artist now.
And see what's up with you, yeah.
So it's a bigger grand plan of finding space and providing space for the foreseeable future. I joke around, I'm 42. My goal is to get to 100. But I've accomplished a lot in the 42. But
give me 80. I don't want to go to 100.
But
I don't really want to go to 100 because now they got to start changing my pamper.
I don't want to be tubed up
and all of that. Yeah, like give me 80.
In this process,
or 90. Well, I go 90.
In this process, I hope to have even more opportunities to grace more art on the walls throughout this city. Yeah. The goal is to find more spaces like this, or to be able to own something that is 5 times the size of this, where we can revolve community art on these walls. Because what happens right now is, most of y'all know, you go to an art show, but as a black and brown or underserved artist in the city, they more or less kickbacks in 24-hour shows. But in that 24 hours, it's only open to the public for 6. So most of the time, people this is what they say. They don't say, I'm gonna come see the art. They say, I'm gonna come see you. They come to see you and to get a fit off, which is cool and all. They're gonna come get a drink, they're gonna come dap you up, they're gonna take some pics in front of the gallery and then just dip. No one engages with the art. The artists don't get to talk about the art. We don't get to truly the artists get to feel like artists in this city.
Would you say, and I asked you this, I had 2 more questions. What would you say, since you've been helping people and stuff like that, and what's been the biggest obstacle for you to overcome in this whole thing that you do?
To get people to buy in and truly support, because I have given so much. So now that we're transitioning this space into where it almost needs to be supported by the community, instead of just being like, I'm not selling $80, $90 sweaters in here anymore that can pay the bills, and we can just have free kickbacks, and we can just say yes to everything. So now we have to be intentional, and it's like, well, if you want to throw something here, sometimes it comes with a rate. So it's more or less just getting the space on the community's radar, but also
what's the address again? I want to say that right now.
2309 Cherokee Street. But we're getting ready to go down this path of, I grew up in the church. You know how people would pass the plate around every Sunday? We're about to do that. We're about to do that on a daily basis. If you believe in what I'm building here and the platform that I'm trying to create for the foreseeable future, this ain't a game for me. I'm truly trying to build something the city's never seen.
For sure.
And with that, I need resources. I need support. So
finances. All of that.
This space just needs to be supported by the city.
That's super dope.
And they need to make sure that that I am in place to make sure that these things are done.
Short-term goals, long-term goals. Get out of here.
Short-term goal is, man, to just keep it pushing, honestly. The short-term goal is just to keep this space going until we just fully stabilize it and get it supported how we want to. And then long-term goal is, I see a couple of these around the city.
Okay.
The goal is to provide this platform on the north side in Midtown.
Yeah.
Like these are 5-10 year goals,
Okay.
right? But we go and create micro media spaces to where people can get access to wall space.
Yeah.
They can get access to come and talk on a podcast. They can come do their pop-up and see if their clothing will sell.
Yeah.
But then we take this same blueprint and we go and look at other cities and say, can we go put in non-biased hubs that are all interlinked?
Because you did that when you moved up.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So we can do it in St. Louis. We can take this blueprint anywhere. And
Yeah.
now they're all interconnected. So
Yeah.
let's just say we open one in Detroit or Indianapolis or Nashville or whatever. If we find that next great artist, we can now filter them to St. Louis. We can filter them to this hub. We can just start now overlapping. And if, let's say we have hubs here around the city, 3 or 4, we can say, hey, we just identified an artist or a musician on the north side.
Yeah.
We've got a bigger crowd on the south side.
And we're going to activate them.
We're going to pull them over there. And then we're going to pull a south side artist and put them over on the north side.
Yeah.
And then we start building up a new arts and entertainment sector, because right now it doesn't truly exist.
Yeah.
Like post-pandemic, you show me truly where an artist can go, like build a following.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being called a local artist in a major city, but there's the stigma with certain artists, with most artists in the city, like, I don't want to be called a local artist. I'm trying to be global. I'm trying to be major. And it's like, you can be. You are in a major city. You can blow here.
Yeah.
Imagine being an artist that cultivates your craft and what you want to do.
Here, yeah.
St. Louis loves St. Louis.
Yeah.
We love the people that are from St. Louis that have went to other spaces and made it happen.
Yeah.
But we're still looking for the artists
That's
that
from
want
her,
to
of
invest
her, and went and
want to
springboarded
invest,
because of her.
right?
Yeah.
And I think we can help each other do that.
We can do it.
I think there's a way for us to make homegrown talent and cultivate it here and give them the platforms and the resources. And if it's like, hey, we need to put money on their books at the recording studio.
Yeah.
We need to front some money for their merch.
Yeah.
We need to help build them a website.
Yeah.
We have the tool sets to do that now, because with this space, with Field Club Media, the Rolodex is deep because of the last 5 years. We have the videographers, the photographers, we have the graphic designers.
The on-air personality,
We
all
have
of
the
that.
people. So now it's all, let's start overlapping this and building true platforms to get the message and the work out of this snow globe effect that we have.
I swear.
I say we all have this beautiful, like, little rock, our own talent, the things that we've worked so hard on. And we step out and we throw it against the sports field of St. Louis, and it makes a little chip, but it bounces right back to us. Now imagine if we all got together and we
threw
all
our rock.
threw rocks all at once together, and someone said, hey, it's cracking over here.
Yeah.
Y'all come over here, start throwing at this.
And we knocking it, we
Listen,
chipping away.
We chipping away.
Yeah.
But right now, we just so like secluded into our own craft and our own spaces that we're not overlapping, we're not building. We can't even find, there's not too many artists that can come together and go sell a 300-person venue on ground level.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're going
But
and
they
selling
go-
tickets, and they may sell 50, 75, and you run the risk of the venue being like, bro, we need you to
We
sell
do.
200,
Yeah,
300.
yeah, yeah.
Like, this not even worth our time, and
So,
they canceling shows.
Like you said, this is the space
This
for
is,
'em.
yes, we can build it up here. So
And
then
we
we
can
can
take
go,
it to
we
the
can
next
go to
level.
Delmar Hall in a year and pack that out.
I appreciate you for letting me have
Absolutely.
a sit down with you. I didn't know all of that stuff was going on, man. That's a
Nobody
beautiful
does.
story. Again, if the people want to follow you or get in contact with you, how do they get in contact with you?
Field Club Media is like that main resource right now. Field Club Media on everything. You
Okay.
can look it up on anything, even fieldclubmedia.com. We have a merch store where we actually are housing local merch. So
Okay.
merch for local designers, artists, musicians,
Okay.
even housing Nikki Slice's pizza merch
All right.
until he
Shout
gets
out
his
to Nick.
spot.
He next on the podcast
Exactly.
too. Nick,
So,
he next. He
and
coming.
then there's Profield Sport.
Yeah.
But then I got my own personal. Just look up Christopher. But yeah, if anything you've heard today, and you feel gravitated towards a space or me, and you're serious about your craft, come holler at me.
Yeah.
Because we gotta start going through the weeds and seeing who's
really
really
about
about
that.
this. Because we are truly like at ground level right now. We're a couple of years fully removed from the pandemic.
Yeah.
But what a lot of
It's
people
on.
don't really want to say or admit is we are really at ground level.
Give him the
Arts and everything.
address one more time.
2309 Cherokee Street.
Yeah.
And I'm usually down here 6 to 7 days a week.
What's the
Just-
times you heard?
I'm usually here like all day.
Okay.
But like if you really just trying to make sure you catch me, we always open on the weekends.
Okay.
Usually I'm like 12 to 5 on Saturday, Sundays.
Okay.
But like I kind of treat this as like my studio during the week, and
Yeah.
I take meetings here, but then we open up for retail sometimes on the weekends. But the goal is to eventually start packing this with local prints and postcards and
Super
photography books and local merch, and it becomes like that space where when someone does touch down or they've just moved in the city and they go, what does St. Louis have for me?
Yeah.
I say I have a space full of the best.
Yeah. I appreciate you again, man.
Okay.
See,
Thank you.
Kenny Mo Show, y'all already know, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and we are out. Woo! Appreciate you again.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you for all the right questions. Thank you.
Okay, my God.
T Hood Beats.